Welcome back guys to my next tutorial, and as I said, this will be a tutorial on how to make a flashlight within Unreal 4. So open up your third person character blueprint and let's get started. I'm just splitting this up into different parts so you can check the description for the timestamps if you want to skip to a specific part. The first thing that we're going to do is get our spotlight up and running on the third person character. I'm going to plug my mouse in. Now, first thing you want to do is go to the viewport tab and go to the add component tab up here, and you should see a light tab. Just scroll down and you want a spotlight. Now, this cone that you see here is the area that will be lit up by the spotlight. I'm just going to move mine up a little bit. You don't need to do this. And that should be good. Now to control it, this controls like how bright it is. This controls the colour. This controls how far away it will affect. The angle is essentially the angle of the cone itself. And you can even have a little inner cone as well. I might make another video going through all the lighting settings as well. I'm going to leave it here though and just go back to the event graph. Now, you remember this from the last tutorial. We're going to need another one. So type in set timer by event, and this is going to be for our flashlight so that it reduces when it's in use. Just drag off the event and add in another custom event, and I'm going to put my flashlight decay event, and dragging off of this, we're going to grab our decay function and just plug in like this. And I'm just going to take can decay for the time being. The variable to decay we're going to add in now, which is going to be called flashlight battery, and make that a float. I'll make another video going through all these basic data types as well. The flashlight battery, drag that out and choose get. Drag that into the minimum value, we're going to leave it on 0. And the decay step I'm going to drag out. Actually, I should show you this. If you type in, say 3, then promote this to a variable, type flashlight decay step, and if you compile it, you should see that the variable can save here, so you don't need to retype it. Now, the time we're going to drag out and promote this to a variable, call it flashlight decay rate. I'm going to set mine to 5 and tick looping, and I'm just going to print the flashlight battery to a string. If you're wondering how I'm adding the reroute nodes in, it's literally just double click on the wire here and it should add one in. Now, this on its own won't make it turn off when the flashlight's on. So what we need to do is we need to add a little check in here to see if this variable here is if it's equal to 0. Or sorry, if it's greater than 0. So what you can do is, another great thing about these reroute nodes is you can just drag off one of them like this and just drag it over here. And we want a greater than node here. And where's our spotlight? There it is. Grab a reference to that in the event graph, but literally just left clicking onto it and dragging it out. Type in intensity. Drag in the execution, and we're going to be using a similar method than yesterday, so choose a select node. What is this? This might be useful actually. I usually just go for normal selects, but this might be more useful because it's specific to floats. Now, if it's greater than 0, then pick A, which will be the intensity that we want it when it's on. So flashlight intensity, and just leave B as 0. And if we go to the spotlight, we should be able to, we have to click in the components tab. You can see that's at 5,000. So if we click on this and just type in 5,000. Now, if we go back to here, then we should have a spotlight. I forgot to actually set the battery to something above 0, so let's go with 50. So you should be able to see it's slowly decreasing. If I quickly put up a wall here to have the light bounce off of something, there you go. You can see that the light is working. If you just wait until it hits 0, which might increase the decay rate on. Instead of every 5 seconds, every 1, and just in case that, let's bump that up to 10. So within 5 seconds it should hit 0. And as you can see, it's turned off. Now, if we go back to this is a basic, if it's used, then decay it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that you can add on battery charge. To do that, we're going to use a battery system. So for that, what we need is to add in a collider with our play character, and just bring it out a little bit and rotate it. Actually no, we don't need to rotate it, ignore that, we need to scale it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to rename mine to Interaction Collider, and in the event graph, with your interaction collider, whatever you've named your collider, scroll down to the events tab, bring it out a little bit, and on component begin overlap. And what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly go back to the content browser and add in another class. So right click and go up to blueprint class and select actor. I'm going to call mine item, and what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this and create child blueprint class. I'm going to call mine item battery. What this is going to do is, well, this is just so we can check it if we're colliding with the right thing. So if you go back to this, and if we go back to the third person character and to the begin overlap that we just added, go to other actor, drag it out and say cast to item underscore battery. This is going to grab a reference to this actor, more specifically the actor that you're colliding with, which means that as item battery, we can for now just print string, just to check that it is working. And if we drag an instance of this I'll put it up here so also you know where it is. Okay, so I think that the issue was that it was working if I unplug all these print strings. If you hold that up there, then it should just give me the object name instead when I interact. Yep, item battery too. Yeah, there we go, it's working. Phew. Okay, so now that it's working, we need to add one more function in the item battery and just call it add battery. Now what this needs is a reference to the third person character, so to do that, cast to third person character. Now what we need is a object wildcard. What this basically does is it checks if this class that we're trying to get is a child of this object here. So for characters, what you generally need to do is just get play character, and that should work. What we need to do as third person characters, we need to add onto a variable that we don't have yet, which is number of batteries, and this needs to be a type integer. Now we're going to implement something later on that basically says, okay, if you've got greater than one battery, greater than 0 batteries, i.e. you've got batteries, then you can use up those batteries to set the flashlight battery to max. Essentially just reload the batteries. That's what we'll be doing later on in this tutorial, but for now let's just focus on getting the batteries to actually add to the inventory. So number of batteries, and then we need to get a set number batteries. Plug that into there, and actually get rid of this get. We don't need this. What we need is a variable that says number to add. This is going to be an integer as well, and just get that. We do need that. Yeah, number batteries, and what we need to do is just a simple addition of these two. Yeah, and plug that into there. And number to add, I'm just going to set that to default of 1. And compile that. And what we need to do in the third person character is as item battery, drag that out and put in item, the name of the function that we just added, which is add battery. And at the end of this function, what we want is for this object to be destroyed so that it can't re-add the object. Destroy actor. So if we now print out the number of batteries that we have, we should see that it's just 1, and that the object should destroy. So if I walk over here, you can see the flashlight's on, and that gets sent off, and that should get destroyed, and yeah, everything's working. Brilliant. Okay, next step. What we want is to be able to reload the batteries back into the flashlight. So to do that, go to settings, project settings, wait for it to load up. Just going to quickly plug my laptop in. down to input and add in a new action mapping. And apparently my laptop's being a bit slow today. There we go. New action mapping. I'm just going to call mine reload, as I'm planning to add more light sources in the future and show you guys how to implement different light sources. Then we just need one universal action mapping, which is why they're so useful. Is it going to let me do anything? I think my computer's well and truly frozen up here. Oh, there we go. I'm going to bind mine to R. And that's just done. Actually, while we're here, add a new one and call it toggle light source. Or flashlight, or whatever you really want. It's your choice, really. I'm going to set mine to left mouse button. We'll need this for later, I just don't want to have to come back and waste you guys this time. Right, exit out of here, go back to your third person character, and what we want now is an action mapping dedicated to reloading the batteries. So reload action event. On press, what we want to do is check get number of batteries. If it's greater than 0, then branch and connect the press to the input pin there. If it's true, then what we want to do is set the flashlight battery to set the flashlight battery to the max, which we don't have a variable for yet. Let me just copy it. Max flash light battery. So that's float and get. You might be wondering why I'm not using a select for this, and it's purely because it would not be necessary in this instance. If it's false, then we don't need to set anything, we just let it run. Now, after we've set it to the max flashlight battery, what we now need to do is just get number of batteries, and on your keyboard type the minus sign twice and you should get the decrement int. What that will basically do is take 1 away from the variable, and since it's passed by reference instead of passed by value, we don't need to set it. The difference between the two is that passed by value gets a copy of the value instead of the variable. So if you passed in, say, into the decay function, for example, if you passed in this variable into a pass by value, what would basically happen was it would do the calculation of finding out how much to take away, but it won't set the variable. You can return the value and set it in the event graph, but it won't set it within the function itself. The reference is the variable, it's not a copy of it, it's not the value, it is the variable. It's a bit hard to explain without actually messing around with these sort of things, which is why I'm getting you guys to do it. So it now checks if the number of batteries is greater than 0. If it is, then it sets the battery to the max and takes 1 away from the batteries. That, to me, looks like it should work. I'm not going to forget to use the max flashlight up here, but I don't need it. Can I set it yet? Yep. I'm going to set mine to 100, and let's test it out. So, wait, it turns off. Yep, destroys. Yep, and it's back on. Now, What we want now is for it to toggle whenever we press the toggle light source. To do that, go into the event graph and find some empty space and type in toggle light source, or whatever you've named yours. On pressed, you want to get a flip-flop and get your spotlight reference here and type in the intensity. Actually, you know what, we could cheat here a little bit because we've already done this logic up here. Set the intensity. We can use both of these. I should probably explain what a flip-flop does. It basically means that every time that you go into this macro, it alternates between these two. So if you went in for the first time, then it would go to A. If you went into the other one, then it would go to B. And when you went in for a third time, you go for A. So basically for every odd number of times that you go into it, it will always go to A. For every even times that you go into it, it will go to B. For the Boolean, we just need to connect is A to this. So we need the spotlight to be 0 on the beginning, because remember it will go to A first when you first go into this, so it will switch the flashlight on. Compile it, go back to your game, and select left click and connect it. There we go. Press R to read. Edit, and that seems to be working. Now, what was the last thing I was going to do? Oh yeah, the wind up. Now, some of you might need something different than battery. Some of you might need a wind up torch. Now, for that, you want to right click and type in mouse wheel up. What this will basically get is the mouse wheel, essentially, just basically how much you've rolled it, scrolled it up and down. So for every increment so that I'm out here, it will get each time that I'm zooming in as a separate event. So it will spike this every time that I'm scrolling. Therefore, we need to add in our steps a bit differently than with timers. But don't worry about it, it'll be fine. What we need to do is get the regenerate function, and since it's scrolling up, then we can regenerate. The variable to regenerate is the flashlight battery, and the max value is the one that we defined there. The regeneration step, let's go for 2. Actually, you know what, let's go a bit broader, 5. And promote this to a variable. Now, if I just quickly reduce the decay step for that, so it sets it to 2, and the decay rate set up to 3. Compile it. Actually, you know what, I should probably, on the event tick, probably just output flashlight battery. Just so I can show it off a little bit. 50 should set 48, 46, and if I start scrolling up, it's back at 100, and it'll slowly decay from there. And it is on, so if I turn it off, then it should not decrease. Oh wait, I've forgotten this step. I'm so sorry, guys. I've forgotten to. No, how unprofessional. Okay, so I forgot that. Where is it? There you are. I need to set it so that it checks if the flashlight's on before it starts decaying. That's my bad. there, and on here you can basically set the same thing. Is flashlight on, is A. Set that up. 48, if I turn it off, it shouldn't decrease. It keeps turning itself back on. Why? Why? That's why. We need another and. Flashlight on. If I turn that off, it shouldn't turn itself back on. And it doesn't. So if I pick that up and then start scrolling, you can see that it regenerates. I turn that off, it doesn't, and you can still scroll. I'll turn it back on. It regenerates, it decays even, and when it gets back to 90, I think I'm going to. There we go. And that's how you make a flashlight in Unreal. I hope you enjoyed this, and please leave a like, comment down below, tell me what to do next, tell me what I could have done better in this one. I always look forward to feedback, so keep it coming, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. I'm not really sure what to do for the next episode. I might go through like the data types and Boolean operations and how they all work, because I know that some of you might not understand how that all works, and I want to equip you as best as I can to make your own games, or whatever you're making with Unreal. And yeah, this is turning out to be a really nice blueprint. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this.